Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, this is Station. We are ready for the event.
Medscape Cardiology, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call Station for a voice check.
Station, this is Melissa Walton Shirley with Medscape Cardiology. How do you hear me?
Hey, Dr. Walton Shirley. Welcome to the International Space Station. It's an honor to greet you and to welcome you on behalf of Expedition 69.
This is Dr. Melissa Walton Shirley with Medscape, and I'm excited to speak with Dr. Frank Rubio, astronaut and physician, who's coming to us live from the International Space Station. Welcome, Frank, and thank you for your time.
Well, thank you so much. It's an honor to spend some time with you guys. I've used Medscape for years, so it's great to finally meet you.
Thank you so very much. During your now over 200 days in space, has your background as a board-certified family physician and flight surgeon proven useful for your work on the space station?
Well, you know, I think having a physician on board always brings a sense of kind of peace of mind. We do have a full medical suite up here and can treat up to including ACLS protocol. But fortunately, I haven't really had to use many of my medical skills. All of my crewmates are incredibly healthy. We all tend to stay in pretty good shape. And so it's one of those things that you hope to always be ready for the worst, but hope to never use even the least of our skills up here.
That's fantastic. Could you describe some general measures to ensure both good physical and mental health for astronauts in space? Like, what is your daily fitness routine, Frank?
Yeah, you know, some of the processes that we see in space tend to mimic some of the medical processes that we see in humans as we get older. But they tend to happen a lot quicker here in space. Some of the major ones being bone loss and muscle density loss. And so we do tend to spend quite a bit of time doing resistive training, weightlifting essentially, but you can't lift weights in space. And so we use two large pistons to create resistance. And every day we do about 2 hours of fitness routine, about an hour of resistance training, lots of lower body because those femurs produce a vast majority of our blood and, you know, just also tend to suffer the most loss, our hips and femurs. And so we do a lot of lower body exercises, squats, deadlifts, and things like that. And then we spend about 45 minutes on either the treadmill or a stationary bike and get our cardiovascular workout on every day also. So, you know, every day seems like a lot, but because you're not walking around and you're not bearing your weight, your body tends to recover much quicker. And so you're able to work out on a much more consistent basis up here.
So also speak to the fitness for mental health. For instance, are you able to communicate with your family on a daily basis? Is there also video and audio capability to sort of give it that feel as if you're closer to home?
Yeah, the team does a great job of supporting us on that. You know, every week we have a special allotted time to spend with our family, and we call those family conferences. And we just recently actually started using a video conferencing capability, and that's proven to be a great boost for our mental health. We stay much more well connected. You know, there's just something about seeing your loved ones on screen versus just hearing them on the phone. And we can use that almost on a daily basis. We do stay pretty busy up here. You know, our work day tends to be about 12 hours, but that includes some meal time and that workout time that we talked about. But still, most of us try to block out a 10 and 20-minute block to stay in touch with our loved ones almost daily. And so, yes, that really does help with our time up here. But we also have a family that's up here in space. We call it our space family. And our crewmates, other human beings that I'm up here with, they become some of my best friends. Fortunately, some of them were already some of my best friends. And so it makes it really easy to get along and just have a great time together up here.
That's fantastic. Some of our readers wanted to know what type of blood tests are performed regularly on astronauts at the space station.
Well, quite a bit, right? We are trying to see and establish a baseline for what the effects on the physiological the physiological effects that space has on humans. Unfortunately, there's not been many astronauts, as you know, for any study to have power. We just need more and more subjects. And so because of that, almost all of us tend to get the full gamut of blood tests while we're up here. Very rarely do those tests get drawn. They get drawn up here, but they don't really necessarily get run up here. We will tend to send most of our samples back, either frozen or ambient. And then the labs down at NASA will store some of the samples for long-term study and also study them as we go. And so really almost any test that you can think of, we tend to get up here.
So we know the Artemis project will eventually take humans to Mars. So what do you foresee as the greatest danger to human health during extended and deeper space travel?
Yeah, so as always, unfortunately, once we leave the protective field, the protective electromagnetic field that the Earth provides, that exposes us to a tremendous amount of radiation. And the further we get away from Earth, the more that has an effect on us. So that's probably the number one overall risk factor that we face. Microgravity in and of itself obviously provides risk, like we talked about, to our bone health and our muscle density health. Isolation, like you alluded to, tends to be a factor for our mental health. And just also, for our loved ones, right, dealing with the risks that we expose ourselves to. I think most of us see this job as a tremendously fun and a great opportunity. But the reality is that despite all the amazing work that the ground teams do, we do still face tremendous risks. And so I think it's important for families and loved ones to learn how to cope with those risks, and also for us to help them deal with those risks as we travel deeper into space. So all those things, NASA does an amazing job of just breaking down any risk, whether it's an engineering risk or a medical risk. We break it down in the smallest blocks possible and mitigate everywhere that we can. And so despite the tremendously dangerous environment that we operate in, the rockets that we work in, and the places that we go, the reality is it's an incredibly safe job because we have incredible support from the ground teams and the engineering teams that are part of the NASA family.
Frank, could you pick one specific future medical benefit that may impact us terrestrials that you might obtain from your work through the International Space Station or even from Artemis? What specific one are you most excited about?
Yeah, we're looking at some really cool things recently. Two of the ones that I've been most excited about, we recently had a biofabrication machine up here, and essentially we're looking at 3D printing human tissues. We're starting with some very basic tissues like meniscus, but eventually the goal would be to use that type of technology to possibly print human organs, right? The fact that we can do that in microgravity and remove the sedimentary effects, the convective effects that the environment down on Earth has on those processes, we could possibly produce much higher quality organs. Now, there's still a lot of challenges as far as transportation, both up and down from space, but we're starting to, slowly make progress towards that real possibility. The other thing that we look at is crystal growth. And so we're able to manufacture, again, because we are able to remove some of those forces that we experience on Earth, we're able to manufacture much higher quality crystals up here in space. And so I think that'll have an effect on the medicines that we can create, much more stable medicines that maybe are more resistant to heat and less they see less degradation over time. And I think that'll make much higher quality medicines available to a greater portion of the population down on Earth. So those type of things are pretty promising for what space can provide, what benefits space can provide for people back on Earth.
Well, Frank, we are hopeful you'll be home soon and reunited with your family, friends, and your Earthbound colleagues. I want to thank you so very much for your service to our country and more accurately for your service to humanity. This is Dr. Melissa Walton Shirley signing off for Medscape.
Dr. Walton Shirley, it was an honor. Thank you so much for your time. Take care.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the Medscape Cardiology portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from KDKA-TV.
This is so cool. Station, this is Heather Abraham with KDKA. How do you hear me?
Heather, this is Woody Hoburg. I have you loud and clear. This is cool.
This is so, I mean, cooler for you because you're actually in space.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Heather, and an honor to get to talk with you. Welcome on behalf of the Expedition 69 crew. Welcome aboard the International Space Station.
So, is this a dream come true for you, Woody?
This is definitely a dream come true for me. Like I think many children, when I was growing up, being an astronaut sounded like just the coolest job in the world. Honestly, I never thought it was actually possible. And it wasn't really until I was, until I got the call telling me I had actually been selected that I actually believed that it was possible to get this job. But it's absolutely a dream come true.
So are you missing home? Are you missing Pittsburgh? Because I can tell you it's just another cloudy, rainy day here.
That's funny. I actually noticed this morning that we were flying directly over Pittsburgh, and I thought I would go outside and get some photos of Pittsburgh as we flew over. And like you say, it was completely socked in with clouds. But I will say I definitely, it's an honor to be up here, and I'm just loving my time on board. Couldn't be happier. But I also, every time I look back at Earth, I think, wow, that's a special place that I look forward to returning to.
Wow. When you say that you were going to go outside to take pictures, what does that mean when you're an astronaut?
Well, I may have, I think what I meant is look outside. So
Okay.
Typically when we want to photograph Earth, we have a couple windows actually that are great for Earth observations. We have the cupola, which provides a sort of panoramic view of Earth. It's really incredible to spend time in there. And then we also have an Earth viewing window looking straight down in the U.S. laboratory. And that's a higher quality, like photo grade window that's great for taking photos. We actually use that for some science missions involving photography, and also for occasionally there are international disaster charter sites. So for example, if there's a hurricane somewhere on Earth, we're sometimes some of the first photos that can get taken are astronauts on the space station just pointing a camera at what's going on.
It's wonderful. Is there anything that you're missing from back home? Oh, look at the microphone just floating.
I miss showers.
I'm a mom to 3, so I miss showers too, Woody. All of your experience, I watched this wonderful video that NASA put together of you, and it included an interview with you too, of your experience leading up to this moment, from childhood up until the point that you left. What do you think about the preparation that went into this, and kind of like your lifelong build up to get to where you are?
Yeah, look, I've had this discussion a lot with my classmates and colleagues in the astronaut office and at NASA, and I think a common thread for everyone is the realization that the careers we were all pursuing prior to becoming astronauts were ones that we were just incredibly passionate about, and that we actually didn't know in the moment that was a pathway to becoming an astronaut. So the sort of wandering road that I've taken professionally, everything from engineering to flying airplanes to search and rescue, all of that was just pursuing passions, and there's no right way to become an astronaut, and it was only in hindsight when I was applying and going through the process to get the job that I realized that my background was actually well suited being an astronaut.
Yeah, I mean, when I watched that video, I mean, not many people can say that when they were kids, they were building rockets. And even being part of the search and rescue team at Yosemite, I mean, getting lost in the wilderness is kind of like being up in space. You're just kind of out there and searching for the next frontier.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of those early memories building rockets were right there in Pittsburgh with an organization called Tripoli Pittsburgh. It's an amateur rocketry group. I'm indebted to them for just kind of molding me, honestly, as an engineer in my early years. And then later on, yeah, I think I've always found that I'm really passionate about technical things like engineering, but then also operational things. And that's what drove me to get involved in search and rescue and flying. And I think that's a common thread in human spaceflight. You know, we do really technical stuff up here on the space station, but we also have to make stuff happen every day operationally. And the team in mission control helps us do that every day. And for people that kind of enjoy both aspects of that, this is a really special place.
I have a really random question, if it's allowed. Is it cold?
I've heard some people feel cold. Different parts of the space station are slightly colder than others. And actually, the place that I shower after my workouts is one of the cold places. So that's always entertaining. But honestly, on average, it's like a balmy 72 degrees anywhere you go on the space station every day of the year.
So speaking of the space station, what are you doing there? What is your goal? What is your mission while you're there?
Well, big picture, I'm really honored to be carrying on the incredible more than 22-year legacy of continuous human presence on board the space station. So that's just amazing. In the last more than 22 years, there has not been a moment when we don't have humans on board the ISS living and working. And that's exactly what we're continuing to do as part of Expedition 69. We've been busy. We just sent home a SpaceX cargo vehicle, the SpaceX 27 mission, full of science results that we spent about the last month working on. And now we're gearing up for the first EVA in our increment. So we're going to gear up to send my colleagues Steve Bowen and Sultan Al-Nayati outside the space station to do some repair work. And that'll be next week. So we're always busy doing a number of different things up here.
That's wild. I couldn't imagine doing repair work outside in space, floating out there. I don't know if you're allowed to disclose, but when do you come back home?
Well, right now we're targeting somewhere around late August. We're always prepared for these dates to change. It could be earlier, could be later, but somewhere around late summer, early fall is the target right now.
Have you heard from North Allegheny? They must be so proud that you're a graduate from their school.
Yeah, I'm so lucky that I got to attend such a wonderful public school. All through high school, North Allegheny was a really positive portion of my early development, and I am hoping to get to talk with the students there a little bit later this spring. I also have a brother. My brother Russ teaches high school chemistry, 10th grade chemistry at Upper St. Clair. So I'm hoping to maybe talk with his school as well at some point this spring.
Well, I hope you can visit us at KDKA when you're back here on Earth and showered. I know that'll be one of the first things you do.
That would be best for both of us, and I would absolutely love that. I would love to come visit sometime.
Thank you so much, Woody, and congratulations on all your success.
Thank you, Heather. It was great speaking with you.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes our event.
Thank you to all the participants from Medscape Cardiology and KDKA-TV station. We are now resuming operational audio communications.
Station copies. Thank you.